One of the challenges that we have is that we live in a 21st century modern context that has values, that has desires, that has a heightened level of intellectual capacity. And what we at times want to do is we want to take that thing and we want to impose it into ancient text. And yet, God in his sovereignty, in his providence, determined that it would be not just better, but good, that the biblical text would be written in time and in space, in an actual cultural context. And I think it would behoove us to, for a moment, maybe just for the next 45, 50 minutes that we have here today, to take our 21st century mind, and not forever, so don't panic with me, y'all. You can go back to your Teslas and your cars and all your things later. Not forever, but just for a moment, put it aside and try to enter into the mind of an ancient Greco-Roman person or an ancient Near Eastern person of the Old Testament. And if you're like, this is so hard, how am I going to do this? Let me just go ahead and give you an example. You do this every day, all the time. So Nate, Luke, if I were to ask you, and I am asking you this, who's the GOAT, MJ or LeBron? Your answer is?
MJ.
Be very careful, Nate.
Be very careful, dude.
MJ.
No, thank you. We could have. We talked about splitting the podcast yesterday, and how the enemy's trying to do that. That was one chance. He passed.
Okay, good.
Good. We joke about this, though.
This is a joke, but hey, I have a question, and we can ask out here. When I say who's the GOAT, what did I mean? Anybody? GOAT?
Oh, wow.
What?
Look at this audience.
What?
Yeah.
But how did you know that I did not mean a furry four-legged creature? What was that? Context. And when I said MJ, who am I talking about? Wait a minute. How did you know I wasn't talking about Michael Jackson?
Or your daughter.
Or my daughter. You had to get personal there, didn't you? I miss my little
Or Mary
girl.
Jane.
Yeah. Or the Spider-Man girlfriend, Mary Jane.
Yes.
I don't think that's what you meant.
See, that's what
Leave it to the ginger.
I thought you meant Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Yeah,
I thought you were going some...
I worked at a camp in Santa Cruz, okay? We knew what that meant, all right? Called Mount Herman, so that was a little weird, too.
This is a funny example, but it's a, I think, powerful example to show that actually we exercise this all the time. We're actually trying to make sense of culture and context and how to relate to words and thoughts and ideas. And the same should honestly be true of the biblical text. And so one of the things I want to try to, as we step into Acts chapter 17 and have a discussion around Mars Hill and the Council of the Gods. That's what's happening in Acts 17, by the way. It's actually the Council of the Gods. When the ancient peoples of the Near East of the Old Testament or the Greco-Roman context of the New Testament, when they looked at mountains or hilltops, they thought of something very specific. Today, you and I might think of a place that we might want to do a hike. Not me. You guys might want to do that. Some of you are motivated. You're like, I want to get to the top so I can take the best IG filtered picture of all time. I'll just steal your pictures and post them as if they were mine, right? So we have this view of a mountain must be nice, but the ancients, they had a very particular context of the mountains. The mountains were the place where God and humanity met. The mountains were the place where you went to get revelation. The mountains were a place of judgment. The mountains were actually the meeting spot of the earthly and the cosmic that were always intended to be intertwined, never divided and separate. So side note, my view is that at the fall, one of the great tragedies that takes place is actually the separation of the earthly and the cosmic. Eden was God's cosmic mountain, his household, and I think Doug yesterday talked about it brilliantly. G.K. Beale is probably the leading scholar, kind of proving that the Garden of Eden was the first temple of God. The temple is the place where God walked and talked, and he lived, and his royal priests lived in Eden, a royal mountain. They were priests there. They had vocation, responsibility, the dominion command. They were to guard. The Hebrew word there is shamar. It's the same word that's used of the Levitical priests who were to protect the temple. Exact same word that's used of the watchmen in Nehemiah to militaristically look out and guard. And we think of they're to guard Eden as if they were glorified gardeners. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's imprecise. That's not the fullest expression of it. They were to guard, not just to protect what was inside, but to prevent something like dun 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 from the outside of trying to get in to corrupt God's holy creation. Now we could like speed roll this, it's like, oh, what happens on mountains? Epic things happen on mountains. Eden is a mountaintop. Mount Hermon is a mountaintop. The inverse of God's good happens on Mount Hermon. Mount Sinai is a pretty significant mountaintop experience. Mount Carmel, where the showdown with Baal happened, that's a pretty significant moment. The Mount of Transfiguration is a significant moment. Oh, wait, the cross of Christ on the Mount Golgotha is a significant moment. What is taking place on these mountains? I think often what's happening on these mountains is supposed to be a reminder to you and I that there is much more than what we see with our earthly eyes, that there is actually a cosmic world. And God has always intended for those two things to kind of come together. And that's what's taking place in Acts chapter 17 on Mars Hill.
I like it. Take us to the mountaintop.
Are you sure you want to go there?
Yeah.
Okay. So in Acts 17, I think we've got some pictures here. I actually was in Greece just a couple months ago, and I was standing on top of Mars Hill. Maybe we don't have the pictures. It's okay. I texted it to the group thread, so if y'all don't have it, then it's my fault. When you get to the top on Mars Hill, it's a big rocky kind of precipice when you get up there. And when you get up there, one of the things that you learn when you're actually in Athens, which is where this takes place, is that there's actually a mythological story that takes place behind it. So by the time of the Athenians and the Romans, when they come in on top of Mars Hill, this was kind of like the place of judgment. Like if there were trials that had to be dealt with, trials would take place there. If there were, issues of a civic matter that had to be established, well, you would go to Mars Hill and you would address it. But there's actually a reason why these humans went to Mars Hill to do it. It's pretty fascinating. It's because the Greek god by the name of Ares, the pantheon of the Greek gods, there was a moment in time where he was actually on trial. And the place where he is on trial is, guess what? Mars Hill. Why was he on trial? He was on trial because he allegedly murdered the son of Poseidon. The Roman name is Neptune. And the reason why he murders the son of Poseidon or Neptune is because the son tried to violate his daughter, Alcippe. And so the 12 gods of the pantheon, I just want you to point out, there is nothing random when it comes to the biblical text, or even, I'm going to argue, in mythological stories elsewhere. Where do they get these numbers from? Where do they get these ideas from? How are they conceptualizing all of this? So you have 12 gods who come down onto Mars Hill, and as they come down onto Mars Hill, they put Mars or Ares on a judgment seat in order to deal with something that had taken place. Where else do we see the number 12? The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 disciples of Jesus. I mean, you see this kind of taking place all over throughout the biblical text. 12 is really important. So what I actually think is happening here is when Paul goes up, Paul is first, he's accused of being, depending on your Bible translations, it might say a babbler. In CSB, it says a show-off. These are very tame translations for it. Do you guys want to know the Greek word for this?
Yeah.
Nate, I'm looking at you. I'm going to say the Greek word, but I need you to remain some like adultness.
Me?
Yeah, you. I'm just saying. I'm going to say the word. I was debating whether I should say the word or not, okay? And after the ninjas and butterflies, I'm a little worried.
Okay.
All right, so the Greek word is spermologos. See? Told you. Who's going?
Almost correct.
Listen, you got 30 seconds. Just go for it, whatever you want to say.
I thought you were going with some phallus thing.
That'll be in a text thread later.
Okay. So the literal translation of this is
You know it's, yeah, you know.
The little... You did this on purpose. You put me at 4 o'clock on purpose.
Yeah, I did.
The literal translation of this is a seed picker. That's where seed, sperm, you got it. Okay. But there's something behind in the literature that's important, and that is the idea that this babbler, or the seed picker, what he's actually done is he's taken different pieces of trash and he's kind of put them together to try to convey a story. And this is the accusation that that Paul has. And what's fascinating is that the very thing that they're accusing him of is actually true. But they're missing the fact that what Paul is masterfully doing is he's actually grabbing the most important parts of the story of the people of God and the people of the nations, and he's actually bringing them all together. So they're calling him a babbler, and he's actually pointing out their babbling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it goes on from there. And then, again, what he does is he starts with this accusation, and he flips it on them. And they're like, you're a babbler. You don't know what you're talking about. Come and explain this. And what they think is happening is that Paul is presenting two deities, right? Oh, there you go. I see it right up on my screen, but I don't see it up there. Mars Hill in Athens.
There it is.
There you go. So that's kind of a visual representation.
Paul's little. That's not the real Paul.
I mean,
Short people are.
is that AI Paul?
It's only a
I don't
model.
know. That's only a model. So so this is just a spatial recognition. So one of the things is, again, spatial helps us a little bit. One of the ways that he would have defended himself is the council would have probably sat at the very top. So the council sits at the top and he sits at the foot, and he's trying to yell up to the top and trying to give his case. It's like you're being set up for a letdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's got the odds stacked against him. And